All right, these are the latest visuals that we're getting from the Shambhu border, where there has been a fair bit of chaos with the police cracking down on the protesting farmers, even firing tear gas shells. As you can see, there is heavy security deployment at this border. Police even in riot gear present there, hoping, of course, to bring the situation under control. Thanks to this ongoing protest and the barricades that have been erected, there have been many traffic diversions, and that has caused immense inconvenience to commuters. But as we said, the big story coming in today really is from the Shambhu border, which is between Punjab and Haryana. It was a key meeting point for farmers from all the states who were heading to Delhi as part of their Delhi Chalo call or march, and tear gas was fired by the police at these farmers who were gathering at the Shambhu border. Visuals showed earlier huge plumes of smoke and hundreds of farmers running helter-skelter as tear gas shells were being fired. Of course, this heavy security deployment and also a large number of media personnel present there. That situation leading to a fair bit of chaos earlier today. The tear gas shelling began around noon as the farmers tried to enter the national capital. Some 24 tear gas shells were fired. It's not clear what the immediate provocation was for the police. Of course, the farmers, as we said, were trying to march towards Delhi. The police were attempting to stop them from entering the national capital. They had gathered, the farmers had gathered in large numbers. That's when a bit of chaos erupted and the police resorted to tear gas shelling. Now, Shambhu border is a little over 200 kilometers from Delhi. In these visuals, you can see a large number of protesting farmers who've gathered. Also, a very large contingent of police and security personnel present there. In fact, the police also dropped smoke bombs from drones to disperse the protesting farmers. So far, they've not been allowed to enter Delhi. Let's, in fact, now take a look at some ground reports that have been filed by my colleagues.
देखिए, आंसू गैस के गोले छोड़े जाते हैं। जिस तरह से मैं खड़ा हूँ, ये रुमाल को पानी में गीला करके, ऐसे ही किसान भी अपना मुंह, नाक ढकते हैं, आंखें ढकते हैं और उसके बाद आगे बढ़ जाते हैं। देखिए, अब एक राउंड जब पूरा हो गया, 12 से 15 जो टीयर गैस शेल थे वो फायर कर दिए हरियाणा पुलिस ने। उसके बाद एक बार फिर से यहाँ पर देखिए दोबारा से जो आंसू गैस के गोले हैं वो छोड़े जा रहे हैं और लोग जो हैं, जो किसान यहाँ पर पहुँचे हैं, उनको पीछे खदेड़ने का प्रयास हो रहा है, लेकिन वो पीछे हटने को तैयार नहीं है। ये देखिए सीधी तस्वीरें, अभी भी लगातार वहाँ से जो आंसू गैस के गोले हैं वो फायर किए जा रहे हैं और इधर से जो लोग हैं वो पीछे हटते नहीं हैं। जैसे ही थोड़ी देर इम्पैक्ट रहता है, देखिए एक बार फिर से ये बड़ा ट्रैक्टर लेकर देखिए एक बार फिर से ये पंजाब की तरफ से जो युवा किसान हैं वो आगे बढ़े हैं और आगे बैरिकेड्स हैं। अब एक बार फिर से टकराव की स्थिति बन गई है। हरियाणा पुलिस ने जो पहला बैरिकेड लगाया हुआ है वो सीमेंटेड बैरिकेड है, काफ़ी भारी भरकम। उसको खदेड़ने के लिए इसी तरह के भारी भरकम बड़े ट्रैक्टर की आवश्यकता है या फिर किसी जेसीबी मशीन का इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा। एक युवा किसानों का जो ग्रुप है वो आगे गया, उसने जो पहला बैरिकेड है वो भारी भरकम बैरिकेड है, उसको लगाने के लिए हमने खुद यहाँ पर मौजूद थे जब वो बैरिकेड लगाए गए थे, तो जेसीबी मशीनों का हरियाणा पुलिस ने इस्तेमाल किया था। तो उनको हटाने के लिए ट्रैक्टरों का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं किसान, जेसीबी मशीनों का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। लेकिन उससे ठीक आगे जो लोहे के सरियों की एक नीचे सड़क पर एक तरह से चादर बिछाई गई है, वहाँ से ट्रैक्टर निकालना आसान नहीं है। इसी वजह से जब यहाँ पर किसान आगे बढ़ते हैं तो वहाँ से आंसू गैस के गोले चलते हैं और उसके बाद किसानों को जब उसका इम्पैक्ट लगता है तो देखिए अभी लोग अपनी आंखें मलते हुए पीछे भाग रहे हैं और जैसे ही इम्पैक्ट कम होगा, धुआं कम होगा, तो उसके बाद एक बार फिर से ये किसान आगे की तरफ बढ़ेंगे। तो ये सिलसिला पिछले करीब 1 घंटे से लगातार जारी है और आपको दिखाना चाहूँगा मैं नीचे खेतों के क्या हालात है। नीचे खेतों में भी काफ़ी लोग इसी वजह से जो टीयर गैस का सामना नहीं कर पा रहे वो नीचे जाकर खड़े हैं और जो टीयर गैस का इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है उससे बचने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। देखिए दूर दूर तक आपको खेतों में ये जो किसान दिखाई दे रहे हैं ये पंजाब से ही आए हुए किसान हैं।
All right, so a fair bit of chaos and turmoil at the Shambhu border earlier today. As we said, this is 200 kilometers from Delhi. This was meant to be the meeting point for farmers coming in from Punjab and Haryana as they were trying to march towards Delhi as part of their Delhi Chalo agitation. They haven't been allowed to march towards the national capital so far. All right, joining me on the show at this point is Kiran Pal Singh, President of the Bharatiya Kisan Union. किरण जी, हमसे बात करने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। सबसे पहले क्या आप हमें समझा सकते हैं हमारे दर्शकों को कि ये शंभू बॉर्डर पे हुआ क्या? ये हम तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं, टीयर गैस शेल्स छोड़े गए पुलिस की तरफ से, काफ़ी धुआं नज़र आ रहा है। कुछ जो हमने तस्वीरें देखी उनमें ये भी नज़र आया कि कुछ जो किसान हैं उन्होंने पुलिस की तरफ पथराव किया, काफ़ी सारे बैरिकेड्स तोड़ने की कोशिश की। थोड़ा बता सकते हैं कि हुआ क्या?
मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
जी जी, बोलिए। अच्छा किरण जी, मैं अगर आप मुझे सुन सकते हैं तो मैं अच्छा ओके, आई डोंट थिंक किरण पाल सिंह कैन हियर मी। वी विल ट्राई एंड re-establish that link with him in just a moment. But before that, let's get a word in from my colleague Ghulam Jilani, who joins me with the latest on this developing story. Ghulam, the question on everyone's mind is, what led to this violence and chaos that erupted earlier today at the Shambhu border? Why did the police resort to tear gas shelling?
Well, Neha, this was something that was not unforeseen. You know, we had been hearing of this February 30 Delhi Chalo march by various farmer organizations from Punjab and Haryana. You know, remember Haryana is a BJP ruled state and Punjab is an AAP ruled state, which is, you know, virtually in the opposition to BJP. So in Haryana, we saw massive security arrangements being done in apprehension of this march. You know, we knew most of the farmers will come from Punjab and Haryana. So what Haryana administration did at this Shambhu border was put up barricades to stop these marching, you know, farmers to enter the national capital. Punjab has been kind of, you know, little bit not as strict in terms of putting up barricades and security arrangement, but Haryana has been very strict in terms of arrangement. We saw yesterday and today morning also, we saw some visuals of concrete slabs, barbed wires, and a huge segment of, you know, these paramilitary forces and local police there. So when some of these farmers, what I am hearing from secondary sources is some of these farmers, groups of farmers were coming in from Haryana. They were marching and they tried to, you know, breach these barricades and enter into the national capital at Shambhu border, which is a connecting link between Punjab and Haryana. And they wanted, these farmer groups wanted to enter Delhi, but they were stopped by the administration. They were not allowed because we know Delhi is also under a heavy security blanket, especially along the borders, and Delhi, the administration and the law enforcement agencies have put up, you know, beefed up security arrangement and also put in place section 144, which means that assembly of more than 4 people will not be allowed. You know, these people were, you know, kind of, you know, breaching those security orders and breaching law enforcement agencies' orders. They tried to breach these barricades as well, and that is when the police started, you know, throwing tear gas shells at them to disperse the crowd. We saw some of the visuals where some at least 3 tear gas were, you know, thrown from air using a drone you know, equipment. So this was bound to happen, but yes, the only relief at this time is that these farmers have not been allowed to enter Delhi from any of the borders. But considering the security arrangements and, you know, barricading that has been done to stop these farmers, there is traffic jam, there are traffic snarls, there is huge inconvenience for the people, especially those who want to commute between 2 neighboring districts in Punjab, Haryana and Delhi. You know, this is important because, you know, if you look at this protest. This is reminiscent of what happened in 2020 and 2021, which was precisely for 13 months. So this time the protest is a bit different, considering the fact that the organization that organized the 2020-21 protest was Sanयुक्त Kisan Morcha, which was XKM. This time the protest is organized by a breakaway group of Sanयुक्त Kisan Morcha. They call themselves Sanयुक्त Kisan Morcha non-political. And there is another umbrella group of farmers which is called Mazdoor Kisan Morcha. So KMM and SKM non-political are basically organizing these protests. And these two organizations, umbrella organizations, comprise at least 250 farmers organizations. Coming to demands, last protest which we saw what happened in Delhi, some of the protesters could reach ITO, some of the protesters could reach Red Fort also. That is precisely why ASI, the Archaeological Survey of India, has closed Red Fort, the national monument, for the visitors right now, and there are heavy security arrangements elsewhere also. Singhu border has been sealed, which people from Delhi and Punjab cannot commute. So this protest is phase 2 of the protest that happened in 2020-21. In the 2020-21 protest of 13 months, the main demand of SKM, the Sanयुkt Kisan Morcha group, was that they wanted the government to withdraw the farm laws, which were withdrawn towards the end of December 2021. We saw the famous speech by none other than Prime Minister Modi announcing the withdrawal of the speech, withdrawal of those laws. But this time the demands are, there are 12 demands precisely. One of the main demands of these protesters are, they want a law that can guarantee same minimum support price for all crops, and also prices of crops on the basis of MS Swaminathan committee recommendations. Coming to the timing of it, timing is important because we know elections are not very far. We are close on the heels of elections. We know that both the opposition and the ruling coalitions, NDA and the India bloc to be precise, are involved in hectic parleys in terms of seat sharing, in terms of getting which party will be on which side, in terms of meeting of political leaders. Also the fact that on February 17 and 18 there is a national convention meeting of BJP in the national capital only, near Pragati Maidan, in the Bharat Mandapam. So this protest is coming at a time when political activity is very hectic, and when we might see announcement of elections in a month or so. Also the fact that it is coming right close, in less than a week's time of government announcing Bharat Ratna to farmer leader and former Prime Minister Chaudhary Charan Singh, and also MS Swaminathan, the Green Revolution guy. Also the fact that RLD, whose leader Jayant Chaudhary, who is grandson of Chaudhary Charan Singh, Jayant Chaudhary has already decided to join NDA. So this is a protest which the organizations, the farmers can say, the farmer organizations are saying this is not political, but it has political ramifications. It is political because we saw many opposition leaders coming out in support of the protest. Again, looking at the visuals and the level of violence that we saw at Shambhu border, we have heard Mr. Rakesh Tiket, who is another farmer leader, saying that Sanयुkt Kisan Morcha, which is an umbrella body, is not right now part of the protest. It is not part of the Delhi Chalo March, but they have said they have a march planned on February 16. It's called Gramin Bharat Bandh. So that protest might be clubbed with the protest if this continues. The current protest continues for 2-3 days. So it will aggravate, it will intensify, and we might as well see, I mean, if there is no deal broken, if there is no consensus between the government and the farmer union leaders. We saw, there were 3 rounds of meeting in last week. Yesterday only there were 2 meetings in Chandigarh between the farmer union leaders and union ministers, including Piyush Goyal and the agriculture minister Arjun Munda. But there was no consensus, there was no solution in the meeting. Meeting was, there might be several other rounds planned. We saw Bhagwant Mann, the Punjab Chief Minister, and Aam Aadmi Party leader, coordinating the meeting between the 2 factions. So for now, we have the only relief.
किसान संयुक्त मोर्चा, ट्रेड यूनियंस ने नारा दिया है संघर्ष को आगे बढ़ाने की, स्ट्राइक का दिया है, ग्रामीण बंद का दिया है, वो भी होने वाला है 16 को. मोदी सरकार की गारंटी, हाउ टू ब्रेक अ प्रॉमिस.
ये वेस्ट बंगाल में जो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की सिचुएशन हो गई है, महिलाओं पर काफी अटैक.
देखिए संदेश खाली में जो कुछ हो रहा है ये.
All right, let me go back to my colleague Ghulam Jilani. who is closely tracking this story. Ghulam, of course, needless to say, this issue has always been politicized. Those same scenes are repeating themselves. We heard CPM leader Brinda Karat there accusing Prime Minister Modi and his government of not keeping their promises, especially those made to the farmers. We've also seen top Congress leaders, including Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, training their guns on the government over the tough measures that are being taken to prevent the farmers from continuing with their Delhi Chalo agitation. But talking about what we are witnessing now, it's interesting. You were talking about how the government has conferred the Bharat Ratna on a well-known farmer leader and the late Prime Minister Chaudhry Charan Singh, whose grandson has recently joined the NDA, also on M.S. Swaminathan, the architect of India's Green Revolution. But clearly, those honours have done little or nothing to assuage the anger of the farmers. Here, we're witnessing thousands and thousands of them taking to the streets, some 200 unions participating. In fact, they claim that more than 1 lakh farmers are going to hit the streets. Talking about the measures that are being taken by the police, they've also come in for some criticism, the opposition accusing them of high-handedness. Of course, in the morning at Shambhu border, we saw tear gas shelling taking place. Besides, of course, concrete barriers have been set up, metal barricades are in place, barbed wire fences everywhere, and what has come in from for criticism from the Congress party, nails being laid on the roads to prevent these tractors and trolleys from moving ahead. Now, what is an ominous sign for the government here, Ghulam, is that a lot of these farmers have said that they are carrying with them 6 months worth of ration and other essential supplies, including diesel, which means that they are prepared for a long haul. And this could become a huge headache for the government because, as you mentioned, the general elections are round the corner. And this is already reminiscent of the 2021 protests that we saw across the country, following which the government had to withdraw its controversial farm laws.
Neha, if you remember, last time when these protests had started, ultimately what happened, these farmers stationed themselves at 3 major, they created 3 major bottlenecks around Delhi. If you remember, Tikri border, Singhu border and Ghazipur border, which connects Delhi, with Uttar Pradesh. So these 3 bottlenecks were resulted out of the stationing of these, farmers. We saw more and more farmer bodies coming and joining them there, and it became a sit-in for, at least 13 months. That is, I'm afraid, that is the only fear that the law enforcement agencies, police and the government will have. Remember. But talking about the political aspect of it, remember there was elections were held after the farmer protest, but we got 2022 elections and other state elections were held, but we didn't see any result in the favor of opposition in that elections. Talking about politics again, fearing that kind of assembly at the borders and that kind of long haul, as you rightly mentioned, which was about 13 months. That is precisely why the administration has come up with strict police arrangement bandobast along the borders, and that is why precisely police along the Punjab and Haryana border, and in Haryana in particular, has put in place concrete slabs, nails, barbed wires and heavy deployment of police and paramilitary forces to prevent these farmers who are obviously marching on foot, who are coming in tractors and other trolleys. There were some visuals which I saw in the morning that police has even tried to barricade a river bed, so that the farmers don't take their tractors along the river bed and cross the border. The ultimate aim of the farmers is to reach the Delhi, the national capital, and the site of the government. But again, and for the administration, the challenge is to stop these farmers. They have been trying it since many days now, and we saw in the morning at Shambhu border, which is Punjab, near Ambala in Punjab, connecting Punjab and Haryana, we saw the police had to resort to tear gas shelling to disperse the crowd. But again, the crowd, as we heard some of the farmer leaders, farmer union leaders, and some of the farmers saying that they are out, they are adamant, they are determined, they are coming out, they They have come out with 6 months ration for more than 6 months, and I think they are prepared for a long haul, and they would not mind stationing wherever they are stopped until they reach Delhi and make their presence felt. Neha.
Okay, and talking about how talks between the farmer union leaders and the government have broken down. You mentioned earlier, Ghulam, that Union Minister Piyush Goyal did meet with some farmer leaders in Chandigarh ahead of this Delhi Chalo agitation. Clearly, those talks did not go anywhere. What are you picking up from your sources? You talked about how these farmers are putting forth 12 demands, including a rise in MSP. But what really is the government's game plan here? Does the government believe that some sort of a via media or a middle ground can be found?
This protest call, if I tell you what the farmer unions are saying, they had given this protest call somewhere in December, and this February 13 date was decided, so the farmers are alleging that they have tried a lot, they have waited a lot, and the government is not coming up with a promise. Basically the grudge is that in December of 2021, when the farm laws were withdrawn by Prime Minister Narendra Modi government, the other demands, which includes a law guaranteeing MSP, which includes farm loan waiving, which includes prices of crops in accordance with MS Swaminathan Commission, and among other demands, which also includes prosecution of alleged criminals who were involved in the Lakhimpur Kheri incident of 2021, in which the farmers were killed by a moving vehicle. Also the fact that some of the farmers who were booked during the 2021 agitation of farmers, the cases against them should be withdrawn. Also there are many other demands. There is a demand of stubble burning. So the farmers are saying that these demands were there in the 2021 agitation, but the government promised that the government will fulfill the demand, but these demands have not been fulfilled, and government has been lying. So coming close to the February 13 date, the farmers had meetings with, as I said, Punjab Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party leader Bhagwant Mann had coordinated the meeting between farm union leaders and the government. To recall, this protest is being coordinated primarily from Punjab this time, and remember, Punjab is an opposition ruled state. So Bhagwant Mann was in the meetings. He was in the meetings. He was in the coordination. He was the main guy coordinating between the ruling dispensation, the government, and the farmer union bodies. There were 3 rounds of meeting. In fact, 2 of these 3 rounds were held yesterday only, but the meetings were inconclusive. What I heard from the farmer union leaders is the government is not ready to listen to farmers, and government is not ready to make an official announcement on having an act which will guarantee uniform MSP on all crops. This MSP thing was a demand. We remember last time also we talked about MSP, but then that demand was kept delayed, and the government had promised that it will fulfill the demand. For the MSP demand, the government, I think the farmers would want at least an ordinance from the government. Obviously the ordinance will have to be converted into law in 6 months at least, but ordinance coming at this time is crucial because there is no Lok Sabha or any session scheduled before we are just right at the outset of the next assembly elections, 2024 assembly election. There is no Lok Sabha session or parliament session scheduled. So the government can find a via media, as you rightly said. Maybe government can appoint some more collaborators and negotiators who can talk to the farmer union leaders and maybe come up with a via media and make some announcement, because the farmers are saying they won't go by the promise. They are demanding an announcement which means a decision right now, right there. So they don't want any more promises, any more delays, like something will happen in 3 months, something will happen in 4 months, because there was a committee on MSP, but that committee, according to farmers, has not come up with any recommendation, has not done anything. Right now the farmers are adamant, they are determined, they have come, they have decided to breach the barricades, and they have decided to reach Delhi and march to Delhi and make their presence feel, unless something concrete comes from the government today or maybe tomorrow, and unless some decision is announced by the government or some truce is arrived at, I don't think that there is any going back from the farmers' side, Neha.